record is back on the show, Quentin Tarantino. How good to have you. The auteur takes the bow. How are you? Looking great.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Well, at last it's here. At last it's here, Inglourious Basterds. When did you first mention that you were going to be doing a movie, a war film called Inglourious Basterds?
I think I was mentioning it about in 1998, right after I did Jackie Brown.
So 11 years ago you were talking about this film.
Exactly.
And so why has it taken so long? You've done a few in between. Why has it taken so long to get to the screen?
Well, you know, it's slightly deceptive to think that it's been in gestation for that long because I came up with the idea of the characters and I had a whole other storyline that I had started writing way back when. And the thing about it was, it ended up being like just too long. Because if you think about it, back in '98, it would have been my first original since Pulp Fiction. So I got really precious about it. Right. And it became less about the movie that was going to come out of it and more about just the writing. And I couldn't shut my brain off. And then it was becoming like a novel or a miniseries. Or so what the hell, I'm too big for movies, you know? Yeah. So I put it aside and did a little movie called Kill Bill, you know, to get out of my epic-itis, cut to Kill Bill 1 and 2. And,
well, because you that was going to be one film, and that got too long,
yeah, that got too big.
Yeah.
And well, not too big, big enough, all right.
Just the right size.
Yeah, but then what happened was, so when I came back to it, I ended up taking the story out that I had come up with originally because I just thought it was just too unwieldy. But I kept all the same characters, and so what follows now is a different storyline that I came up with.
Now, the real kind of die-hard film fans out there will know there was a movie in the late '70s called Inglourious Basterds,
yes.
And it's kind of set in the same sort of setting. There's some similarities, but it's not a remake by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, it doesn't follow any of the storyline of Inglourious Basterds. I like that movie; it's a fun movie, but I actually bought it just for the title because I love the title.
Yeah. It's a great title. It's a very peculiar film. I shouldn't think many people have seen it. I've seen it a few times, bizarrely. And
really, that's pretty cool.
Well, yeah, but it's an odd film. What I like about it is, have you noticed that they always had a very limited cast? Because in that film, they're going from village to village killing Germans.
Yeah.
And after about the first half hour, you recognise they're killing the same Germans in every village.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's the same. You know, the Italians were really big about the big explosion where the guy goes flying head over heels. All right, and then you just start noticing it's the same stuntman as, hey, there's Giorgio again.
But this time he's got a different eye patch on or a moustache. Tell us about the storyline of Inglourious Basterds, and also tell us why you spelled bastards incorrectly, because it's not the correct spelling of the word bastard, of course.
Yeah, basically what the movie is about is Brad Pitt leads a group of Jewish American soldiers that are basically behind enemy lines, and their whole thing is to basically do an Apache resistance against the Nazis, which means that they ambush a patrol. It's not a straight-up fight. They ambush them, and then they not only do they kill them, they desecrate their bodies. They collect their scalps, they take out the gold teeth, and they just leave the bodies there desecrated so other Germans to find, so that'll scare them. And then they also leave one alive to explain the tale that, oh, the bastards did this and they're Jews doing that.
So to spread fear and create a myth.
Yeah, to create a myth and to get psychologically to beat them the way the Apaches were able to do against both the Spaniards and the U.S. cavalry.
But, you know, it's a very interesting movie. And, you know what, I love the film. And I'm so thrilled I can say that to you. And I can't wait to see it again. But it's not, you might expect it to be sequence after sequence of these guys ambushing and doing that, but you don't actually see them doing that much of that, do you?
Yeah, well, it's, you know, the thing about it is, anytime I do a genre or a subgenre movie, what got me to sit down to actually start writing it is I like that idea of throwing my hat in the ring of that genre. Like, say, Reservoir Dogs, it was like I wanted to do a heist film. Yeah. And I did, but it's different than most heist films. Like, for instance, you don't see the heist. And same thing here. I start with an idea, but then I want to build away from it and create my own thing.
Let me ask you. Well, no, we didn't deal with the spelling here. Inglourious Basterds is spelled incorrectly. Now, is this the only way you could get it? I heard this was so you could put it on posters. Otherwise,
no, that wasn't the case. Look, the truth of the matter is, I don't really answer this question for the basic fact it's an artistic flourish. Yeah. All right, and to describe it is to take the piss out of it.
Yeah. So basically, you just want people to make up their own mind and enjoy the fact that it's a different thing.
Correct.
Okay. Now, I have a bone to pick with you. I'm sorry I have to chastise Mr. Tarantino for something he does in his film, because you have a great ear for music in film. And I know that when Reservoir Dogs first came out, everyone said, wow, what an incredible soundtrack. And it kind of turned people on to soundtracks in a whole new generation. In this, you use a lot of, it's not found music, but it's music from other films.
Yeah.
classic music from some obscure, some well-known movies. And I don't understand why you do that. Because for me personally, it sometimes takes me out of the film.
Really?
I'm watching the movie and I'm enjoying it, I'm loving your film, and then suddenly it's a bit and I'm thinking, hold on, that's from Battle for Algiers.
Yeah.
And there's another thing and I think, hold on, that's from The Alamo.
Yeah.
You know, and there's little snatches of music I recognise from the movies. And so I start playing Spot the Music rather than enjoying The Inglourious Bastards. So now, is that not a concern for you? And why not just get a new soundtrack made for it, a new piece of music composed?
Well, one, it's not a concern, or I would be concerned about it.
Well, I think you should be. I really think you should be.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that myself.
Well, I do.
All
That's what I'm trying to say to you. And I want you to stop doing it.
Yeah. Well, let me actually answer the reason why
No,
I don't.
Just say I'm right.
Yeah, basically the thing about it is, I would not feel comfortable giving a composer that much power over my movie.
So really, it's a power thing for you.
It's my movie. It's like, it's the same thing to me as like using a rock song that was already famous and you put it in a movie.
It's not the same.
To me, it is.
Yeah, but you're wrong.
I disagree. And look, part of the...
You can't disagree. It's my show. We'll just cut that bit out. And we'll put a bit in later if you're saying, yes, you're right. Now. Okay, no.
We're going to have a question where I say that.
Okay, now, great cast in the film. Great cast and terrific performances from some people you would expect. Brad Pitt is tremendous.
Yeah, I think he's great in it, too.
Took you a long while to get around to Brad. I'm sure you knew about him. He must have known about you. You must have been interested in him beforehand. How does it come about when you have a part for someone like that? You approach them first, he's come to you, what happened?
Well, no, actually, it was interesting in that situation. We've always wanted to work together at some point in time. But the truth of the matter is, I think I don't really work like that insofar as it's about the character. It's got to be the right fit of the character. Yeah. So I'm always waiting for that to rise up. And so what happened was, I'm like writing the script, and I get about halfway into it, and I start to now think, well, who could possibly play this role? And then I'm like, oh, actually, Brad Pitt would be really good in this. So I continue writing a little bit more, and then I'm like, Brad Pitt would be effing awesome, all right, in this. And then by the time I get to the end of it, it's like, okay, now I'm screwed. I have to get Brad Pitt, or it's just not going to work. I don't have a fallback chance. And he's one of the biggest stars on the planet Earth. And not only that, it's not like I can wait for him. I'm going to go into production right away. Yeah. So what are the chances to be able to get him? He lives on a vineyard in France. So then I hopped on a plane to go and talk to him about it.
Does he live in France? I thought he lived in America.
No, he lives in France.
Yeah, I think he just tells you that.
Yeah. And so he goes over. I go over. And well, since he lives on a vineyard, and they actually make really nice...
Doesn't live on a vineyard.
Rosé. They make really nice rosé there. So he opens a bottle of rosé, and pouring it and drinking and talking, and then hours turn into more hours, turns into night, turns
you
into
wake
3
up and suddenly
morning.
you bought a vineyard.
Yeah, exactly. Well, actually, the thing about it is we woke up, and then Brad counted...
In bed with each other.
Well, counted the bottles, and there were 8 empty rosé bottles.
Wow. And then you look up, and there's Angelina going, another one, Brad? You brought another one home? Another director? But he's great. Seeing it now, I can't imagine anyone else
me too.
in the part. Okay, the film opens here on August the 19th. You've got a while to wait, but I'm telling you, it's worth the wait. It's great fun. And it has been a wait. What do you do in between movies, Quentin? Because you move away from the industry, don't you? You remove yourself from the practice of writing and directing, and you presumably have fun, I guess. But.
Yeah, it's like, well, part of the thing is I have to... I have to live life, so I actually have something. So one, I can enjoy a life, and so I can actually have something to give back to my work. But there's another aspect about it, is the fact that, look, I'm a writer-director. Everything that I do starts with a blank piece of paper. And, I would make more movies and stuff if I'm not going to write this one. Let me just see what scripts are out there, and I find something that inspires me, and maybe work with the writer or do a rewrite myself. But then, cut to 10 years down the line, I've made more movies, but my voice gets lost.
So you wouldn't work on someone else's script like that?
I mean, never say never, but I don't really have any intention to. I like in using Inglourious Bastards as an example. Every aspect of that movie is a product of my imagination.
Yeah. Well, it's a wonderful experience. But I heard talk a few years ago that maybe you were considering doing a Bond movie.
Well, I got to say that was one that I was very interested in doing.
Well, wouldn't that be great? Can you imagine a Quentin Tarantino Bond movie?
Yeah. Well, I mean, part of the thing is the reason they did Casino Royale all comes down to me. because...
Well, why don't you just big yourself up while you're
Well, it's the truth. I mean, the thing about it is, I made it a point that I said I wanted to do Casino Royale. They were already on record as saying that the movie was unfilmable. But then after I said it and talked about it for a little bit, then the big thing on all the internets was that was what the fans wanted to see. And so that's when they, oh, maybe it's not so unfilmable now.
Well, I told them to hire Daniel Craig.
Actually, if I would have done it, though, I wouldn't have done it with Daniel Craig. I would have done it with Pierce Brosnan.
Well, that's where you're wrong.
I disagree.
Well, you're wrong twice tonight. Let's go for 3. Now, Quentin, what do you do when you're unwinding, for example, TV, movies? Do you watch your own kind of stuff? Do you like, I mean, I imagine you watch most of the movies in those genres, or do you like kicking back like I do with an episode of Sex and the City, maybe? Or an episode of Big Brother, you know, like trashy TV? Do you turn your mind off with that kind of stuff? Do you like those sort of things?
Well, I have to say, when it is, you know when I watch, actually, for lack of a better word, trashy TV the most, is kind of like a normal person as far as usually when I'm editing, because I've been working all day, and then I get home at night, and maybe I don't want to watch a movie, I just want to just veg on the television and just see whatever sitcom is on. That's when I kind of catch up with the normal television.
Do you like girly movies, though? Would you ever wind up, do you think you could see yourself writing a romance, a romantic comedy, that kind of thing?
Well, you know, it's funny, actually, romantic comedies, kind of, you know, these rom-coms get a bad rap, but actually I've been a fan of romantic comedies since the 30s. I mean, you know, and they usually work on wordplay and everything like that, so I actually think I'd be really good at it. Like, for instance, it is a guilty pleasure, all right? You know, I used to find it hard to actually go to the movies by myself. You want to have a date with you just so you have an excuse to go. But having said that, I actually watched when Sandra Bullock was on the show a few weeks ago, and I actually thought The Proposal was a very funny movie.
Yeah. So you like that kind of thing. Now, do you go and see that?
They're funny, yeah.
Would you go and see that?
No. Here's the thing.
On a date? You have to be on a date for that kind of thing?
Well, no, I actually went and saw that one by myself. But you feel better about yourself if you see it on a date. But,
who's the loser in the romantic comedy at the back on his own now?
Yeah, exactly. But, you know,
looks like he might have a gun under his coat.
Yeah.
Don't point him out.
Unfortunately, the problem with most romantic comedies is that if I did one, hopefully that would not be the case, is you seem to have amnesia for how cheesy the movies become in the last 15 minutes. You have to forget about it.
It's got to be love and kisses at the end.
Yeah, and so
you
it's
couldn't
like,
end it your way. It couldn't be, yeah, I love you. Boom!
Never say never.
Boom. Okay, we have, you know, I have people who help me on the show doing research and stuff, and I found out that some stuff I didn't know about you. For example, apparently, Reservoir Dogs was initially going to be called Righteous Colours.
No, it wasn't.
And, well, this is what I've been told. Pulp Fiction was initially going to be called Blunt Justice. So these were different titles for the film.
Blunt Justice?
So
I've never heard of that title in my life.
Okay. The other thing I was told was the John Travolta role, which was great to see Travolta back, and what a great comeback performance. But initially, that role you were thinking of offering to the British comedian Ronnie Corbett.
You heard wrong.
I'm sorry. You know, I hate because I get given this information, and it's embarrassing.
You got taken, yeah.
Pete, who did this? Pete did this. Pete, it was Pete. Pete, are you here? There's Pete. Pete, come here, Pete. Pete's the researcher who did this. Pete, you said to me you checked out, because I said to you I didn't think that was true, and you said you looked on where did you look for this information?
Wikipedia.
Why? And that's as good, and you didn't double check it anywhere?
Well, it's the internet, it knows everything. It's not wrong.
I've told you before, you've got to double check stuff, because I've got Quentin here now, and it's embarrassing for me, and I'm sorry, Quentin, for embarrassing this way. You know, I can't let this go. I'm so sick and tired of this kind of... And you know how it feels, you know, you work hard on the show, and then some idiot like that comes in, and he's paid good money as well, and we've got a nice office and everything. It's embarrassing for me in front of you, so I apologise for the...
It's okay. It's okay.
I don't want you to think that's how we run this operation.
I'm glad you took care of business.
It's shoddy. It's shoddy. Okay, Quentin, I love having you on the show, and I'm a fan of your work, and it's great to see you.
Well, if you like having me on the show, can I just say one thing?
What?
Okay, I have to say, I feel very honored that the Poofs are wearing my shirt. I know that is a high honor.
I like the way you say the Poofs. The Poofs.
However, if you like me so much, what do I have to do to rate having my face in one of the bubbles at the beginning, all right? I mean, Russell Brand made it, but I just still have it. I
think you were in early on in the series, and then you made Death Proof, and I didn't like it as much, so we took it off.
Yeah, all right. Okay, so...
But now you're back. You can be back out there.
Okay, the big guy's back, all right.
Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Mr. Quentin Tarantino. Fabulous.
Thanks, man.
Thank you so much. Great stuff. Thank you. Quentin Tarantino, ladies and gentlemen. Here is Mr. Ben Stiller. And the wolf whistles there and everything, Ben.
Very nice. Very nice.
Great to see you again. Thank you for joining us back on the show.
I'm happy to be here.
So you live in, I guess you live in Los Angeles?
Yes,
Los Angeles,
I do.
California. And yet you were born, or certainly you were raised in New York City, is that
Yes,
right?
I lived on 84th Street and went to school on 110th Street. And as you went up, you know, the streets, the
Well,
kids
that's on
got
the border.
tougher.
That's kind of where Harlem begins, isn't it? About
Yeah, like
110th
110th Street, Harlem is. I used to go to a school that was in the Cathedral of St. John the Divine, this Episcopal-run school. I'm Jewish, but it was sort of a non-denominational thing. So we would go to school in this cathedral, but it was like sort of in the middle of this really tough neighborhood. So getting to school would be a little bit rough.
Well, you weren't wearing a uniform or anything like that, were you?
Yes, I was wearing, yeah, I'd like have the, you know, turtleneck and
That
patch.
can't have been easy.
That attracts predators, yes. So yeah, no, but it was a fun place to go to school. We had our gym classes were under the cathedral, in the crypt of the cathedral. They like converted the crypt into like a basketball court.
And you obviously have fond memories as well as some sort of troubled ones of this period.
Oh, yeah, no, I have really good memories. I loved it. I mean, you know, growing up in New York is great because you just sort of, those experiences are just become part of your, you know.
But not the kind of background
Life.
one necessarily assumes for an actor to begin in, although your parents were in show business, weren't they?
Yes, my parents are actors and a comedy team and would go and do nightclubs and play Vegas and do TV shows, so we would go on the road with them a lot.
Well, your dad was in quite a lot of movies. I was watching a movie, you know, when you're just browsing, channel hopping, and an old movie comes on
Yes.
that you love, and I started watching it. I don't know if you remember that film, The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
which I think they've just remade for this summer with Denzel Washington and John Travolta.
Yeah.
And there's your dad. He's
I know.
in that. I remember thinking, oh, yeah, it's Ben Stiller's dad. I got quite excited about that.
Yes, my dad, Jerry Stiller's playing Walter Matthau's sidekick, and they were throughout the whole movie together. And that was really exciting because for me as a kid, I got to go on that set, and I think I was like 8, I was 9 years old, I think it was like 1974. And that was one of the things that made me want to make movies because they got to stay up all night shooting night scenes, and it was very, you know, exciting.
Well, I
very
guess to
exciting.
see it as well, to see the nuts and bolts, the mechanics of it, and not to see it as a kind of mystical, unattainable reality, but
Yeah.
something that, you know, you knew people who made them. I guess that
I
would've-
just thought it was cool they got to stay up all night. They could shoot a night
And
scene.
free food as well, of course.
Free food.
Your dad's still with us, of course.
Yes.
He's still, yeah. Does he still performs? He still acts occasionally, I
He
believe?
does, yeah. You know, he was George's dad on Seinfeld for a lot of years, and you know, and then on King of Queens, and he's
And
you
he
know,
was in Zoolander as well, of course.
Zoolander. He plays Maury Ballstein.
Yeah.
He's great. Yeah, you know, they're
Can I
amazing,
ask, when
my
you
parents.
finished the filming of Zoolander, did
Yeah.
he ask to keep that tracksuit? Or did you-
Yeah, that was made. Yeah, no, he didn't. No.
That's some blinging leisure wear.
He
right
doesn't
there.
really dress like that.
Okay.
My uncle dresses like that.
You used to watch them perform, and did you want to do comedy because of them doing comedy? Did that inspire you?
You know what? Not really, because as a kid, your parents are your parents, and it was just what they did. And then I think not until I got a little bit older could I appreciate what they did, because you know they're your parents, so you sort of want to sort of do your own thing. But it was really fun to travel on the road with them because they would take us to like Vegas or something like that. And, you know, they play with Gladys Knight and the Pips, and then we'd be like in the motel pool with the Pips.
Wow.
Swimming.
Can I ask something? Do you think the Pips...
I swam with the Pips.
You swam with the Pips. Do you think the Pips felt a little diminished by being called the Pips?
Well, I think that...
Because you got Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, right?
Right,
They're
right.
great. And, you know...
Well, there's a difference between a Pip and a Miracle. A Miracle sounds a little more impressive than a Pip.
And you've got Diana Ross and the Supremes. That's
Right,
about as good as
right.
it gets. And then you've got Gladys Knight, Pips.
Yeah, I don't quite get where they got Pips from. What is a Pip?
Well, you've been in the pool with them. You're better positioned than most of us. OK, Night at the Museum 2 is upon us. Another one was just a great fun family film. I can see why you wanted to do it again. And what a great... You've got just about the best cast around you.
Yeah, it was sort of insane, the cast. It was just, there were so many funny people that, you know, Steve Coogan, Owen Wilson, all the people from the first one, Ricky Gervais is back. But then Christopher Guest is in it, playing Ivan the Terrible, and Hank Azaria plays the bad guy, and Amy Adams plays Amelia Earhart. It was just insane, the cast.
Well, she's a beautiful young actress.
She is. She's a very sweet lady.
I think the director of the movie was somewhat in love with her physique.
He liked to shoot her
bottom.
Her bottom.
Yeah, you see her bottom. Her buttocks on display in almost every scene. I'm not complaining, mind, but it's very bum-centric, if you don't mind me.
Yeah. Okay. I don't want to get into that really because I think that's something you should talk to the director about. But I mean, she's also, she's playing Amelia Earhart. She's wearing jodhpurs, and jodhpurs are form-fitting, and
Tight.
They are, yeah. And Robin Williams is in it too.
He's great in it. You don't see his bottom once in it, not once.
No.
Okay, that alone almost proves my point.
What is the point that it proves? that he's not interested in Robin Williams?
Yeah,
behind?
that's what it proves.
Well, you wouldn't want him to be that interested in Robin Williams behind it. If it's a guy, he probably should be.
I'd like to think that he'd cover all the bases just in case.
Yeah.
We had the lovely Charlotte there. She specialises in primates,
right?
Chimps, monkeys, and so on and so forth. Of course, you work with what is it? It's not a chimp in the film, is it? It's not a tamarind.
No, she's a capuchin monkey named Crystal, a female, but she plays a male in the movie Dexter. And I don't know how much to say about the chick. She's. Because it's always, I'm getting slapped by
I love
her,
the scenes where you get slapped by the monkey.
I know.
And you slapped the monkey as well in the film.
No, well, that's the thing, because of the laws,
That's not... That's not... You could see I wasn't doing that. I wasn't doing that.
Spank, slap, whatever.
I wasn't doing... You didn't...
I never spanked it, though, ever. No. Well, not that one. That particular monkey. But even I didn't get to touch that one at all because you're not allowed to hit the animal.
Well, of course not.
You're not allowed to hit the animal. It's
of course you're not allowed to. Well, that would be mean.
I know, but they train the animal to hit me as hard as possible. And there's like a trainer standing right off camera going, hit him hard with like a treat.
So he was really slapping you?
Yes, yeah. And like the first movie was okay, I got through it, and then the second movie, it was just humiliating and horrible.
So if there's a third movie, we won't see the monkey in the film?
I'm going to do whatever I can not to have the monkey.
So when you appear to be slapping the monkey, then what are you slapping in the film?
I am slapping. I'm slapping either a tennis ball, that they'll replace with a monkey's face, or a stuffed monkey.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did you take out some of your angst and the anger you felt towards the live monkey on the stuffed monkey, or you did the tennis ball?
All of it, yeah, all of it. And also, she's a female monkey, so, certain times of the month, she's more irritable and harder to work with.
Complains about things, she didn't put the lid down. Boom.
It's not even a joke. So they would say, it's her time of the month right now. Just be gentle with her.
So, you're performing with essentially a menstrual monkey.
Yes.
And you have to tread more cautiously because of that.
Exactly, and also be more careful because you never know when she's going to lash out at you.
I had no idea.
It's just, that's what you get working with animals.
But did you grow fond of the capuchin by the end?
No. I much prefer working with humans.
Now, okay, well, that moves out. Has it already opened in America?
It has not.
Okay,
no.
It's going to be huge. It will be a huge summer film.
Yeah, hopefully
it will be.
Do
It's a great fun film for the family.
I think it's good. I think it does better than the first one. I'm happy about it.
Well, the first one did great, though, didn't it?
No, but I mean, as a movie, I feel like we were able to do a good job.
Well, it's kind of more. There's more comedy in this one, really.
There is more comedy, and there's a bad guy. There's like a really good bad guy that Hank Azaria plays.
Yeah,
he plays Egyptian.
Okay, when I'm speaking of sequels, I'm pleased it's this one. But the one when I had you on before, and I said to you, the one that we're all dying for, all waiting for, of course.
Yes.
And I'm sure you join me. It's Zoolander.
We really.
I've got a craving for more Zoolander that needs to be satisfied.
I have to work on that. We are working on it.
I hear you're planning one.
Yeah, it's actually, over the years we've had a couple of different scripts, and it's just sort of trying to find the right thing. And also, it's that kind of movie where I want it to be, I don't want to let people down. With
you want it to be different, but you want it to have
and it's but I definitely want to do it, so we're just trying to figure it out.
Can you give us any idea as to what you're thinking in terms of the plot just yet?
We were thinking about the idea that possibly Derek got hired to be a personal model for an Arab sheik. And then finds out that there's some sort of models are being turned into oil or something when they're done, like a sort of a Soylent Green sort of a plot, or not.
Yeah. And I believe there's going to be another Fockers film.
Yes. I think so.
You're giving people what they want. There's no
Okay.
doubt about it. And this will be, how will you put a different spin on this?
I don't know. It's a few years later, and we have a couple of kids, and it's possibly called Meet the Little Fockers.
Before you go,
Yes.
is it true that Elton John has written a movie for you, or he's writing a movie for you?
That's not true. No.
But it's kind of out there, isn't it?
No. What it is that there's a project that we're working on, a script that Elton is writing the music for, and that I would possibly act in, and that's what it is. But he didn't write the. He's writing the music.
So he's writing it, and is it a comedy or is it a
It's
a
sort
drama?
of a comedy, dramedy, and not a music. Like I wouldn't be singing or anything.
Do you have much of a singing voice?
Not much. Not much.
No, so you wouldn't be doing that.
No.
Do you dance in it? Would you dance in it?
No.
Okay,
No.
so it's more just straight acting.
Yes.
Can you give us any tidbits about what the film
You know
might
what?
be about?
It's a sort of a family story about a New York family that's in the theater.
Sounds great.
Yeah, and it sounds exciting.
All that and music from
Yeah.
Elton John too. Well, book my ticket.
And we're calling it Meet the Little Fockers. So.
There you go. That's good. Hey, how lovely to see you again. Thank you for
Yes,
coming
you
back.
too.
How great to have you here. Mr. Ben Stiller, ladies and gentlemen. Ben Stiller. Hey, Ben, before you go. You know what I'm going to ask you to do. We've got to get him to do one look before he goes, haven't we, ladies and gentlemen? Would you mind just turning and giving us that one look?
that camera?
Yeah, that camera. Here we go. Oh, yeah, come on. Ben Stiller, thank you, Ben. Good night, sir. Oh, that's what you want for a weekend movie. And then will you please welcome Mr. Tom Hanks?
Must be missing an angel. Your love is heavenly,
There you are. The different ages of Tom. Thank you.
Oh my, thank you. I see 20, 25, 30 empty seats since the loose women went off to left the couch.
They look gorgeous. Bill.
Also, they did.
Hang on, Tom. Well, what's going on now there? Look at that.
You know, there's a saying about that, but I don't think it's appropriate for television.
Those days for us are gone, I fear.
Well, those are the type that I was far too shy to approach in like high school and
you
whatnot.
mean, kind of like confident and sexy
They're
looking?
yeah, beautiful and opinionated and talkative.
You were a shy kid at school?
I was.
When did you blossom? When did you bloom? When did you get confident?
Let's see. I did your show a couple of years ago.
It has that effect, yeah. What was your childhood like then, Tom? I was just talking to Dizzy about his. Before we talk about movies and the new movie, what was it like? Were you travelled around quite a lot, didn't you?
My parents pioneered the marriage dissolution laws for the state of California.
Okay.
Which was fine. It was okay. They didn't get along. It was much better for them to say so long as opposed to subject us to the constant strain and anxiety.
Sometimes it's a positive thing.
Yeah, America, you get to do it 2, 3, 4, 5 times. In fact, my parents did. God bless them. They found the loves of their lives. But we did move around a lot, and we had a period of time where the oldest, my sister, was 13, and I was 8, and we pretty much took care of ourselves from the moment we woke up to the moment we went to bed.
And so
it was fun. It was dirty, but it was fun.
A good education for you as well, though. Tough and job.
Yeah, we learned household. We learned how to do things around the house, how to wax the floor, how to do our own laundry, how to lose our own laundry. That was how to do without laundry that we had lost.
Do you feel you missed out on much? Did you miss out on the fun aspects of childhood?
Oh no, we had a blast. We did things like my brother would jam, and I would jam firecrackers into airplane models and hang them from our bunk beds, light them on fire, and then run out of the house till they exploded, then come in and watch the molten flaming plastic drip down the walls. I can't imagine having more fun.
How many did you have brothers and sisters? Did your parents have brothers and sisters for you with other partners? Were there a lot of
No. It was all one shot. They had the Beatles, and then they broke up.
Okay, so that was
four of us, and then they moved along. We did have a lot of stepsisters and other relatives, and they were all nice. I actually had it was a confusing time, but it was fun.
Do you keep in touch with them all?
Oh, no, I wouldn't know them if they walked in today. Sorry. It's the way, you know, the thing is like it always broke up badly.
Yeah.
You know, we'd be in there playing with our cars and our trucks in a room we share with some step sibling, and Dad would have this look on his face, we're leaving, and because he just had a fight with somebody else. Next thing you know, 2 o'clock in the morning, we're leaving Sacramento with a station wagon loaded with stuff, and we never saw those people again. That was a little bitterness. No, that's not true. Actually, they did come around at one point, and my stepsisters were the source of my hearing the Beatles for the first time.
Well, which is a good
they
thing.
came over and they were playing their radio and they had all the buttons and stuff like that.
What about before you became an actor, before you decided that was for you, did you have, most actors have a number of jobs that get them through college and get them through acting studies?
Oh, yeah.
What kind of jobs did you have?
I was a dishwasher in one of the restaurants that my dad worked in later on, and I was a bellman. I was a bell, it's derogatory to say bell boy. I was a bellman. I was part of the bell service.
So this is someone who helps you in with your bags when you arrive at a nice hotel?
And hopefully makes a buck. Yeah.
So you'd rely on tips for that?
Tips, and you lied about your tips. To the Internal Revenue Service.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
you said,
I had a guy explain it to me. It's half, kid. It's half. You made 24, you only made 12. You made 12, you only made 6.
He sounds like a gangster. He sounds
Well,
like
they were smart guys. The rules of the road.
And did you enjoy that? Was it fun interacting with the public in that way? Were customers nice to you, or was it a bit of a drag?
It was a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
There were some guys, some people, let's put it this way, that would hit on you. There was one guy, I came in and I checked him to bag, and he had the filthiest picture I'd ever seen. And he said, do you know if anything like this goes on around here?
And how old were you then?
I was 19, 18 years old. And I said, I don't think you sure nothing like this goes on. But that's the way he did it. He would just like flash it long enough to sear the image into my brain and haunt me forever. By the way, guys, does anything like this go on around here? No, nothing? Really? I'm so surprised.
Okay. So acting, when did you decide, okay, acting's for me? When did you decide, and when did you realise you had what it took?
No. I was in school. I saw people doing it, and I thought, well, that looks like more fun than fun.
What appealed to you? What did you like the idea of? The idea of being someone else, or the idea of getting the applause? What was it?
The fact that it wasn't running track or working in metal shop. It just seemed like pretty easy. Look, you got a grade for it.
Yeah.
Let me get this straight. Hanging around and goofing off in class, being loud and funny, you get a grade for that?
Yeah.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting kicked out of sociology when I do this. I can't pass government cracking wise from the back, but you let me do it in class and I get a good grade.
Okay. Now, Angels and Demons, this is the second time you've played this particular character.
The Robert Langdon genius.
He is a symbiologist, is that correct?
Symbologist.
Symbologist.
A symbiologist would a person of studying two things that go on at the same time.
Well, it was close.
A symbiology, you see, but a symbologist studies symbols.
Is there such a thing as a symbologist?
No, it's a completely made-up game. I think he would be called a graphic artist, you know, a guy who would print arrows and things like that.
Now, I didn't see the first movie, which of course was the Da Vinci Code when it first came out.
Da Vinci Code.
I missed it, and I hadn't read the book, and people said to me, some people I know loved the book, raved about the book, other people said, you won't like the book. I didn't read the book. I saw the movie, loved it. Finally caught up with the movie, liked this one even more. But there was a kind of feeling beforehand, people were saying, this is not going to be a good movie, the Da Vinci Code. I had that feeling that people were ready to kind of shoot it down before it came out.
And many people agreed with you.
Yeah, now, how does that feel when you're making a movie and people seem to have already made their mind up? How do you deal with that?
Well, when the movie does well, you just kind of go, my plans worked perfectly.
Now, Tom Hanks, you won't believe this. Have a guess how old Tom is. Shout out how old you think Tom is. 21. Don't be
God
silly.
bless you.
56.
43.
Okay.
Lovely.
85. 85. You got 85 there from someone who presumably didn't like the last movie.
Okay, I like
52 years old.
52.
Right, you look great for 52.
Thank you.
Now, I want to check something, Tom. Can I check something? At the beginning
I
of the movie...
stay away from donuts, that's one thing. By the way, can we have the donut assistant back?
Come on, Will, do you want to come back?
I just want to point out, he's putting his donut back on. I literally am seeing a walking manifestation of an earlier phase of my career.
Do you think Will has a future in the business?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Would you like a donut?
No, they're poison. They're literally glazed rings of death. I'm going to stay away from them. They're very, very bad for you. just what is your actual gig around here? What is your?
I bring him coffee.
That's it? Oh, what has he done that you humiliate him so?
He likes it. This is a nice day out for him.
Oh, is it? Are you getting a little? All right, off you go. Thank you so much.
I'll see you later.
Very good.
Black, 2 sweet.
Very good. I saw. Well, he likes another one.
He was falling apart literally. Okay.
I saw Will do Yago at a theater in Cheltenham. That was absolutely magnificent.
Okay.
Hang in there, Will. It's going to be okay.
He's
We've all done stuff like
He's loving
that.
it. We've all done it. Okay, here's what I want to ask about the movie. At the beginning of the movie, the first time we see your character, Robert Langdon, the symbologist.
Yes.
He is swimming.
Swimming, yes, he's swimming.
And I thought, who's that swimming? He's a lean, muscular figure.
Oh, that was me.
Was it really you?
Oh, I learned how to swim.
I thought maybe there was a body double because...
No. Oh. No, I refuse to have body doubles. I refuse because it's.
Well, you learn to you swim properly. That's proper grown-up swimming.
I went to my swimming coach, literally a swimming coach, but named Mike Newman, who was a former fireman lifeguard. The guy is in phenomenal shape. Yeah. He's older than me, and he said we were standing in the pool. Showed up in the pool. The water was cold. It was cold. It was like 7:45 in the morning. Get in the pool. Oh, it was cold. And he said, "All right, swim a lap." And I thought, "All right, I'm pretty physical.
I bet you put everything into that one, yeah?
I've been, I was in Splash. I've spent some time in the water. I survived it as Castaway Man. I was that guy. So I decided to turn it on for a lap or two. And I did two lengths, and I was exhausted. And he looked at me and says, "You don't know about swimming." And he taught me how to swim all over again. And he got me to the point where I swear I was upchucking at the side of the pool. Because,
but do you now enjoy swimming?
I do. I swim regularly now because I've learned how to do it.
So it's worth, because I don't swim properly. I swim like that, with my head up like that. And I don't like to get my eyes in the chlorine because it gets in my lenses. And I don't agree with that kind of where you go, no, you're wrong way around. You go, that's swimming, isn't it?
That's what we call a recovery stroke, where you get your thing. But he taught me how to breathe out of both sides, which I had never done before.
What do you mean? Look.
Which is where you're doing the crawl, and you're doing this very specific movement with your hands to get as much volume of water as possible, and you go this way, 2, 3, that way, 2, 3, this way, 2, 3. That way, 2, 3.
And do you learn on land first, and then they put you in water?
Wouldn't that be embarrassing?
Wax on, wax off.
Lay down and make it happen, you jerk. No, I just jumped
Well,
in the water.
congratulations, but the swimming is only part of the story of this film.
It actually is in the movie for about 20 seconds, and yet we have milked it for a vast majority of the BBC television
When I was
show.
watching it, I thought, I'm going to ask him about that, because I was excited about seeing the swimming. I thought, who's that young, healthy man swimming? It turns out it was you.
It was me.
Here-
By the way, Speedos, you Europeans have a thing, the shame that you do not exude when you wear a Speedo.
I think Speedos...
is to be congratulated.
Do you not wear Speedos?
In America?
Yeah.
Oh, you'd be persecuted. You'd be arrested. You'd be hounded out of town. We wear Americans, when we go to the beach, we try to wear big baggy shorts that go from here all the way down below our knees, with pockets in them for our glasses and surf wax and things like that.
Like boxers wear. They're big and huge, and they get wet, and they stay wet for
And
days.
they stay wet for all day. But when you come to Europe on vacation and you don't want to be identified as an American, you wear a Speedo, and everybody thinks you're from Belgium.
Do you like... What kind of Speedo do you have in your collection, Tom?
Well, it's the only choice is color.
Yeah.
I believe one of the loose women was wearing a Speedo in that photograph.
It was a lacy thong. It was
I don't know if you
Carol.
can throw that up there.
There you go.
There you go. There you go.
That's Tom heading for the beach.
Now that is a Speedo.
Yeah. So, Angels and Demons, we don't want to give too much away. It's one of those films you can't give too much away. I'm curious as to how the Catholic Church themselves reacted to knowing you were making this movie and how much access they gave you, because it's set in Vatican City.
Yeah.
And were they happy about you making the movie? Because it's not. I don't think it's disrespectful in any way, and I think you go out your way. You go out of your way to make sure.
But believe it or not, it seems as though the press has taken it and blown it out of proportion somehow.
They don't do that.
How could this happen? I don't understand. Isn't it their job to take the facts and push them through the sieve of reasonable responsibility to tell the truth? And then how can they blow it out of proportion? I don't get it. In fact, I believe the Vatican did say you cannot shoot on Vatican property, and I will give you £20 or 20 quid, whatever you call it. If you could tell me of any movie that was shot in the Vatican.
I can't.
Can I have a musical interlude, Puff on the piano?
Yes.
Just give me 15 seconds of time passing as you think. Give me a thinking face. Do you have an answer, Johnathan Ross?
No, but the thought of you in Speedos is
No! Stay on topic!
It's incredible. I've seen that. They're there.
So, in fact, we were not able to shoot in the Vatican, but
Nowhere.
nothing is allowed
nothing's
to.
allowed. You don't miss it. I don't think you
No,
miss
but
it.
the Vatican is in every shot because the Rome is
you-
essentially Vatican. Churches everywhere. But here's an interesting thing. There's a lot of places in which they built two of the same exact thing. For example, when we run into the Piazza di Popolo to go into the Chigi Chapel in the Maria of Santa Maria del Popolo.
Wow, you learned a lot of names.
Well,
out there,
you
yeah.
do. You have to. It's in the lines. And it turns out the actual church was off limits, but right across from it is a police station, and lo and behold, it's a mirror image of it.
It balances.
We balance it out, but we go the wrong place. So anybody who truly knows Rome will say, that's not where the Chigi Chapel is, that's where the police station is.
Yeah, but
we don't tell anybody, do we?
But, you know, you wouldn't listen. Hey, but it must have been great shooting in Rome. How long were you
it's
shooting in Rome for?
fantastic.
What a place to be on location.
The great thing about Rome is every one of our dressing rooms was essentially a cafe that served cappuccino.
Yeah.
They were all open for us. Piazza de Oro, right around the corner from the Pantheon. It's one of the greatest coffee places, and that's where we all hung out. It was great.
And so you made the movie. How long did you take your film? How long were you there for?
We were there through, I think, 3 rounds of the Euro Cup.
So
how long does that take?
I don't know anything about football.
Well, let's see. When England gets eliminated from the Euro Cup, we were there for 3 days. No, I'm joking. Oh, come on! It was 2 years ago. For crying out loud, get over it. Jeez, it's like you're all Aston Villa fans or something like that.
When do you support?
I am an Aston Villa supporter, and I found another one in the United States.
Okay, I don't know anything
Oh,
about
boo,
Who's the manager of Aston Villa?
I have no idea.
What is the
Sparky
name?
O'Rourke.
What is the name of their home ground?
Their home ground is the Villa Dome.
How many people are there in the Aston Villa team?
On the Aston Villa team is made up of 723 crack footballers.
How do you get to support Aston Villa?
Now, you know, it's so goofy, and everybody asks me because of the first time I came to London, I was watching the scores go by one day before I had to go off and do something, and I think Blacksworth upon Twixby beat Aston Villa by 4-0, and I thought, Aston Villa, that sounds like a lovely little place. I think I'd like to be a little place called up to the Villa. Yes, up to Aston Villa. And I have since met folks from the team. I met the lady who runs it and been invited. And I will go as soon as I can figure out where Aston Villa is. It's in Birmingham. Thank you very
They
much.
must love having you as a supporter, though.
Oh, I think it's great.
yeah.
It's I just go by name. I think Queens Park Rangers is a cool name too. That's very nice, you know. What, Tottenham Spurs? That sounds like a good name for football.
Tottenham Spurs.
What is it? Wasn't there Tottenham Spurs?
Tottenham Hotspurs.
Tottenham Hotspurs. Okay. What can you do?
Okay.
But I can't get the do. Is it Man City or Man United?
There's
Which
both.
one
There's
is it?
two. There's two
Who
whole
do you?
teams.
Are you red or you blue?
There's one's red and one's blue. I
You know
think.
what? I'm going to keep naming football
No,
teams
don't do
until
that.
soccer hooligans starts cause a fight in this.
Okay. What's next for you in real life? What are you doing with you on screen after Angels and Demons is going to come out?
God, no.
You don't know what you're doing
no,
next?
No, I don't.
How can that be?
An anomaly in the agenting process? I don't know. I'm going to have a chance to play a massive donut who tries to promote his wares over the course of the... oh, poor Will. I love that guy. Understand, in a separate parallel universe right now, Will is here talking about his movie, and I'm dressed up as a big donut.
Well, when you come back on next time, will you dress as a donut for us?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Right after I come from the set of, Cougar Chicks or whatever the name of the show is. Rampaging Women. Is that what it's called? By the way, if you tried to Google their website,
The Loose Women.
you'd have to go through like 42 pages of other things before you got
And wouldn't that'd be a great way to spend a month.
it. Your dog will find it for you. I'm sure.
Before you go, when people see Tom Hanks in the street, what kind of things do they say to you? What do they shout out, and what do they ask for you back in return?
They yell out Wilson quite a bit.
From the Castaway film?
Yeah, they always yell "Run, Forrest, run," even though Even though
They say life was like a box of chocolates.
He say, this is a lot of them say, hey, I got to tell you something. I got to ask you a question. Here's my question. You know what my favorite movie of yours is? Do you?
I don't know.
Forrest Gump. They're always so sincere, and they're always so sweet, and they always talk about how they seen it like 92 times, and it's always very flattering.
Okay.
And they yell, did I say Houston, we have a problem? They yell
you
that
get
a lot.
that, of course.
They do
Yeah. That was a great film.
And they say, nice taking down Johnathan on the show. They say that. Way to take down Johnathan. Good takedown.
Do they ask you
They said that
to
once.
do the rap from Big?
Oh, yes, they
Because
do.
I love Big. Big, once again, it's a movie. It makes me cry every time.
This was, now, don't get me into Dizzy's territory here.
But you can still do it.
This is
you still
not.
have the moves.
Well, it was actually a thing that my son learned at summer camp, and we were looking for something to throw into the movie.
Which the
so
kid
I
would
said,
know.
well, yeah, that we would both know. And I said, well, how about we do this thing called, it goes like this. The space goes down, down, baby, down, down the roller coaster. Sweet, sweet baby, sweet, sweet, don't let me go. Shimmy, shimmy, cocoa bop, shimmy, shimmy, rock. Shimmy, shimmy, cocoa bop, shimmy, shimmy, rock. I met a girlfriend in a Triscuit. She said a Triscuit, biscuit, ice cream, soda pop, vanilla on the top. Ooh, Shalita, walking down the street 10 times a week. I met it, I said it, I stole my mama's credit. I'm cool, I'm hot, suck you in the stomach.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me just say thank you, Mr. Tom Hanks. I've never seen that going on around here. How lovely to have you. Tom Hanks, ladies and gentlemen. God bless you, sir. You can keep... Oh, dear. Will you please welcome Mr. Tim Burton and Mr. Johnny Depp, ladies and gentlemen.
24 years just waiting for a chance to tell how I feel and maybe get a second glance. Now I'm gonna get used to not living next door to this. I'm gonna get used to not living next door to this.
You do it whichever way you want to do it, guys. Here we go. Great to have you both here. Thank you so much for joining us. You know... yeah, it's great to have you both here, and I'm really pleased you're both here together because I know you work with other people and you do other movies, but when I think of your movies, I tend to think of you as a pair. And you've been together, what, is it 20 years now that Edward Scissorhands first brought you together?
Yeah, one journalist said we've been working together for 10 decades, which was before film was, you know, everything like that. So
I'm trying to work that out.
Yeah, that's a strange thing to say. Was Johnny the person you had in mind for Edward Scissorhands, or was it a film you were writing anyway and then you were looking around for the right person?
No, I didn't. You know, I'd never seen the show he'd done, 21 Jump Street, but I knew about him, and I just, after I met him, I realized he was that character. You know, somebody who, you know, he's always been sort of misperceived by looking like a, you know, poster boy, and inside there was always something different, and that's sort of what the character of Edward Scissorhands was. And
Yeah, so I mean, you were kind of a teen idol at the time. When that TV show, you were kind of a heartthrob in all the teeny magazines and stuff.
They were working hard to process some kind of a character to shove down people's throats, and I was misrepresented, really. I mean, you know, 'cause as far as I was concerned, I was just an actor doing a job.
You didn't enjoy that whole side of it.
Well, I mean, I don't know that anyone. It's pretty weird. You know, when you go from like not being able to pay your rent and then suddenly, you know, all that kind of bizarre hoopla and.
So you were deliberately looking to change the direction of your career and change the way people perceived you, I guess.
Yeah, I wanted to. I wanted the. You know, I wanted the road that I wanted. You know, I didn't want to become anyone's product, really. That was basically it.
Here's what's weird. You're talking totally differently to the way I expected you to, because I haven't seen you being yourself for quite a long while, and I'm used to you either speaking like this, like a crazy person, or, oh, what a worst white chocolate. You know, it kind of... You do those voices in the films, and here you're talking like a grown-up man.
That's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, I expected it's like kind of like normally it's like a Michael Jackson voice. But I guess we don't see you being interviewed that much, and I guess that's deliberate on your part.
Occasionally, I become a grown-up man too. Yeah.
But you're kind of a weird person, I imagine, though, aren't you? Because that's what obviously. Because I don't see you playing normal people often.
I've been accused of weird. Yeah, I've been accused.
But you like being a bit weird, don't you?
Well, I mean, I just like to sort of, you know, I prefer to go down the road that I that I prefer.
He's weird. Yeah, yeah. And coming from you, that's quite something because you're no stranger to the weird side of life, are you?
Well, I mean, what's weird, you know? I mean...
You two are. We got a double helping the weird. But do you go to Johnny first because this partnership, it clearly works and it's clearly something that you both feel comfortable with, but you do, you know, make other films with other people. Do you prefer working with Johnny? Is it your first port of call when you have a part, or are there certain parts where you don't go to him because you don't think it's a good mix?
No, I think I always go to him if I feel the part's right and think he'd like it. And, you know, also he's willing to try anything, and he also doesn't like looking at himself. He's never seen a movie that we've done together.
You don't watch yourself back?
I can't stand it.
Yeah. Because you're unattractive, is that it? No, really, what, you just don't like seeing yourself on the screen, or you don't like the performance?
What I prefer, I just prefer to walk away with the experience of the process and have, you know, just to have that, and then that's plenty. I don't need to see the
watch them though, because some of them are pretty good.
I might, you know, this one I think I might. I want to see because this is, it's Tim at his you know utmost. He's really gone far beyond on this one. And
well, it's a remarkable experience. I mean, I've seen this. This is Alice in Wonderland we're talking about now. Alice in Wonderland, and it's not the straightforward telling of the story as we recall it. Of course, this is a different angle on it. It's a different period, isn't it?
Right. Well, I mean, I've seen there's been 20 versions of it, I guess, and they've all tried to, in some ways, be very literal to the stories, which are absurdist and don't really have a really strong linear. So what I liked about this was it sort of set it in a different framework, but just, you know, still the thing that always I remember is the Lewis Carroll characters, you know, the Hatter and the Cheshire Cat. They're just such iconic characters, and that's the thing we were focusing on.
It's a remarkable movie. I mean, it really is a very different thing, and I genuinely adored it, and so did my kids, I'm pleased to say. But it's really quite way out there. I mean, it isn't a kind of straightforward fairy story. It isn't like the cartoon Alice from years ago.
Well, I mean, people, they go like, well, it's darker or something, and then you had to go, this was written, what, 18, whatever, and it's like, well, you know, there's something that says, drink me, eat me, you know, that you don't know what it is. It's completely politically incorrect in a certain way that the story, you know, and this was, you know, as we said, if this story were written now, it would be kind of mind-blowing today. And, you know, it's been such an inspiration for musicians, artists, and so it's just, you know, it's in the subconscious of everybody in some way.
And you play the Mad Hatter as if he is somewhat mad. Presumably that's a deliberate thing. You went in there hoping to capture him as a sort of, not a kind of insane person in a depressing way, but someone who is touched by madness.
Yeah, someone who's touched by madness but confused by the madness as well. I mean, I think the idea is that, you know, if you're completely crazy and you're unaware of it, you're home free. If you're completely crazy and you are aware of it, there's got to be some bit of trauma there. There's got to be some bit of damage there. You got to be, you know. So that what we were trying to do is kind of turn him into this, you know, like a human mood ring in a way. You know, that he goes from, you know, severe sort of depression to great levity and then, you know, intense rage.
Kind of like people, sometimes bipolar people swing from one extreme to another.
That sort of thing, yeah.
I think it's one of your, if not your best performance ever.
Wow.
I think it's incredible. You must be thrilled with the way it's turned out now.
Well, it's, you know, I just finished it, so, you know, it's like they have to take it from your cold, dead hand, you know. This
But you must have, you've kind of literally just finished it. I mean, it's only the last week or two, isn't it?
Yeah. My hands still smell like chemicals. Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with the movie, that's just... how have you seen each other change over this 20-year period? I mean, you've both been through similar experiences in a way. You've both gone through, you were both kind of successful, but you enjoyed bigger success as a result of your time together and as other movies. You've both settled down, you've become family men. So you've been on similar journeys, but have you seen changes in each other that you didn't expect to see?
Tim has to fight less for me now to get me into the movie.
Yeah, after Charlie, that was the first time the studio said, hey, what about, you know,
Johnny,
this guy, you know?
But that's weird, because people now, they think of you as a huge star. But of course, for years, you weren't. You were in these weird, oddball movies, and they weren't necessarily a big opening.
I think the definition was box office poison, that's what they used to call me.
But it's so weird to think back now. And I guess it was Pirates of the Caribbean that turned that around?
I think that had something to do with it, yeah.
OK. How did they deal with your performance? Because, once again, this is something after the event, you say, sure, that's going to work. But at the time, I bet when you first walked out, what you doing all that? That's not a bad impersonation, I think. But they must have questioned that, I'm sure.
They were most definitely upset. Yeah.
And you had sit-down chats with them about this?
Oh yeah. I mean, sitting in a great big, like a giant conference room, speaking with grown men about how many gold teeth and how many dangly bits from your hair.
So they wanted a
surreal.
limit on the number of dangly bits in your hair, and
Pretty much. And, yeah, it was very strange.
But you must have been confident then that you were doing it right. You must have had that belief in.
Oh, I did. I mean, I didn't do anything differently. I mean, I made choices for a character that I believed in, and I knew who that guy was, and so I basically just said to them, look at it, this is the guy, and if you don't like him, you're welcome to fire me.
Yeah.
You can pay me.
So it's kind of a win-win situation for you, really, at
much,
that stage. But they, phenomenal success. I mean, all three of them, and there's the fourth on the way. Is that confirmed now?
There is, yeah. There's a fourth on the way, and we're getting through the script and coming up with some.
That's
really
exciting,
fun
isn't
stuff.
it?
Yeah, it is.
And this will be the same director. Is it Gore Verbinski?
This is a different director this time. It's Rob Marshall, who just did 9 and has done Chicago, and he's a very, very, very interesting guy.
So you didn't want to.
It's going to be a musical then, huh?
He's
Some musical bits.
well, you've done the musical, of course, Sweeney Todd. And who would have thought we'd seen you sing? Because when you were in a band years ago, you just played, was it guitar or bass? You played
Guitar,
guitar.
yeah.
So you weren't a singer on stage?
Never.
But you did a good Sweeney Todd. Did you see Johnny and Sweeney Todd, ladies and gentlemen? He carried a tune. He was channeling Bowie for part of that movie, I think. Did you like doing the singing as part of the film experience?
No. No, I didn't. It made me incredibly uncomfortable. Because, to step up in front of a microphone, for the first time in your life at the age of 40 or whatever, it was like pretty obtuse.
And now in the new film, of course, Tim's encouraged you to dance on screen as well.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's quite some dance. Is that, presumably some of that is computer generated, the dance?
No, the futter whacking.
Yeah.
No,
that's the name of the dance, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Just to know, but you've got to be. When it first occurred, I thought, what's that going to be? When you say he's going to fudder whack at the end, I thought, this is going to be good. Can I watch this with the kids? What's going to happen? And it's, but it's quite something.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to do. The doctor's given me a month to not. I have to stay away from my fudder whack.
You coward.
The knee,
Oh, it's the knee, Johnny. That's why you can't dance because of the knee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tim might be able to show you a little bit, huh?
I can't make my head spin around.
Keith Richards, of course, appeared in the last of the Caribbean movies with
Yep.
you, and you're a huge admirer of his. I know you're making a film about him, aren't you?
We're doing. It's a thing that we've talked about for a number of years now. That we finally had a moment, the two of us, to get together and do like a first installment, if you will. And so basically, all it is exactly what Keith and I've been doing over the years: is sitting around in hotel rooms, talking, gabbing, having a drink, and we've documented it. So it's something we're doing together, and we did five days, and it went extremely well. He was just incredible.
At the time, still though, even though I mean, obviously you're comfortable where you are and who you are, but there are times when you're sitting. I'm sitting opposite Keith Richards. Do you still have that feeling?
Oh, it happens all the time. Yeah.
Let me ask you about the presumably you like the Pirates movie as well. Do you, as a director, when you see other people's work there, do you sit there thinking that's great, but I would have done this, I would have done that?
No, because I know what's involved in making a film. So no, I don't. I just worry about what I'm doing, and it was great that. Because his success on that made it easier for me to work with him again. I didn't have to,
Yeah. But I'm amazed because, I mean, it's a remarkable process, and obviously when there's big money involved, which there is, for people to trust people like you to make something as strange as the films you tend to choose, that's a big risk by then. And yet you guys don't seem that flustered about it. You seem like, I'm going to do this. You have that confidence in your own vision or your own ideas. Was that always the case, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, it's confidence or stupidity or just ignorance or whatever, but it's just kind of the desire to make what we wanted. And I've been lucky from the very beginning to, from Scissorhands, even though they didn't really want to do it, but, after Batman, I got the chance to kind of just do a low-budget kind of thing. So I've had the chance to, do the things I've wanted to do.
You're both very successful men working in an industry which is primarily an American industry. So, and yet you both choose to live elsewhere. You live over here. More or less full-time, as far as I know. And you live mainly in France, is that right, Johnny?
Yeah, in France, but also just, it's a pretty transient existence.
Why is your main base in France then? Why did you choose France and not England?
What France has done for me, really, is like, or at least living in Europe, has given me the opportunity for real simplicity as far as, raising a family, being a dad. When we go down to our place in the south, there's no discussion, there's no movie talk, there's no nothing. It's just, literally simple and free.
I guess in Los Angeles, it's so much a kind of the industry dominates the whole town that even schools and even restaurants, when you go out, it's always there.
Everywhere you go. I mean, everywhere you go.
And you like a glass of wine occasionally, don't you, Johnny?
I don't mind it.
Okay.
I don't mind it.
And you have your own vineyard, is that right?
I don't.
You don't?
You know, the French won't allow it.
I thought you had a vineyard.
They don't want me to have a vineyard.
Okay, and this is because you wouldn't be able to grow it? They just want you to keep drinking their stuff?
I'd probably never leave.
Yeah. Do you guys hang out together or see each other much when you're not working together? I mean, we've talked a bit about your home life. You're here in the UK now. You're living with Helen, as you said, Helen Bonham Carter, and you have 2 children.
Yes.
Beautiful children. Do you guys sort of go see each other much? Do you hang out? Do you socialise? Do you bond? Do you go drinking, bowling? Do you go fishing? Do you do any of those things? Shopping?
Forgot ice dancing. And
Yeah.
Ice dancing.
synchronized swimming.
Nice swimming.
Well, yeah, no. I mean, when we work, we see each other all the time.
Yeah. Or if we happen to be in the same place or something like that.
Do you holiday together ever?
I don't even holiday with my own family, so I would really be in trouble if I holidayed
Well, you
with
know,
him. and
but
that
it's
was-
just a phone call away, Tim. Just phone them up and say, hey, we're thinking of going to Centre Park or somewhere. What are you doing?
Sorry, all the kids, I'm off to the Bahamas with Joe.
No, I'm not saying you should go alone with him and his family and leave yours at home. I'm saying both groups of family book, you'd probably get a better rate and go and stay somewhere together. But I imagine it would be kind of like, not like working, but it would be a continuation of work if you were away together. You would find yourself talking about those kind of things.
Well, we'd probably develop like strange things like, like Martin Landau's Hot Tub.
Oh, yeah,
things
we-
like that.
yeah,
TV
we-
shows. We've dreamed up TV shows. you
Okay,
know.
Martin Landau, of course, worked with you both in the Ed Wood movie.
Yeah.
What was the idea for the Hot Dog
I'll just
TV
have
show?
Like a
a
talk
talk
show.
show.
A
You
chat
might want
show.
to do it, but within a hot tub. Wherever the guest comes in,
Yes, comes in the hot tub.
naked in the hot tub.
Well, I'm up for it. So when you sit down together, or when you pitch on it to Johnny, do you see pretty much eye to eye? Because it's unusual that a couple who've worked together on so many films are still friendly, are still prepared to work together. I mean, most directors I know, eventually, they hit a wall with their leading actors and vice versa. You're on the same page pretty much all the time?
Yeah, I mean, oddly, like even when it comes down to, script notes and stuff like that, if we sit down to talk about the character or talk about a scene and compare script notes, and there have been times when they've been like identical, or the notes on the page. And then the approach to the character, like with the Mad Hatter, for example, I had this weird little watercolor that I'd done of what I thought he should look like, and then I brought it to Tim, and Tim had his drawings, and it was like they were very, very close,
So, and how is Tim as a director? How communicative is he as a director? Because I'm led to believe that you're not the most verbal director when it comes to giving notes and advice and guidance on set.
Yeah, he isn't, but I mean, at the same time, he knows exactly what he wants, and there's an incredible shorthand that somehow developed or actually happened right away on Edward Scissorhands, where it could literally be, he could turn his head that way or kind of, do something with his hands, and you go, oh yeah, I get it.
You'd know what he meant.
I know what he wants.
So almost like the way very close family members communicate, or twins, you kind of know what each other say. It must be kind of frustrating for people who are left out. Do they pretend they know what you want and then get it tragically wrong sometimes?
There was lots of recently where people we just heard you guys talking. We didn't know what you guys were talking about for half an hour. It was like
A grip came up to me and said that. He said, I just listened to you and Tim speak, have this conversation. He says, I have no idea what you were talking about.
that's why it takes 2 of us to go on a talk show, because maybe one sentence will come out.
Together, we'll get some sense out of it. I read a couple of people who work with you, I guess they're the producer behind the scene, they believe that the characters you play on screen are kind of Tim on screen. You're like his alter ego on screen. And you don't see it that way, is that right?
No, I think when you do something, you try to, make it yourself. But the thing is, you just put a little bit of that in there because the actors are the ones doing it. So that's why it's a collaboration. I mean, he's the one that's doing it. So, he's got a lot of him in there. There's maybe some things that I feel in there. And, that's what the artistic collaboration's all about. So.
But do you think that you're kind of acting out his personality on screen any of the time?
No, I mean, no, not really. I mean, I think, I'm basically just trying not to embarrass him.
That's my job, embarrass people.
Let me ask you about some of the people you work with, because how amazing it must have been to work with Marlon Brando. I mean, he must have been someone you grew up admiring, I would have thought.
Yeah, he was incredible. I mean, he became he became a great mentor, a great friend, a great source of knowledge. He was incredibly generous and supportive with me. You couldn't ask for a better.
Did he offer advice, or did you seek advice from him as a young actor?
He would offer advice. He would offer advice to me. If he saw me do a talk show or something like that. There was one time I did a talk show and the lady asked me about my kids or something, and I said, "Oh, they're great, my kids." And he called me immediately afterwards and said, "You can't talk about your kids. Don't do it." And he really laid into me about it.
So he had specific ideas of what you shouldn't do.
Yeah. He just said, "Don't talk about your kids, man. Don't talk about your kids."
You worked with him on the Don Juan movie, of course. When you get to work with someone like that, are you still someone who sort of seeks them out as a friend almost? I mean, do you want to sort of hang out with them? Do you want to visit? Are you impressed in a sort of fan way, or is it just business already? You kind of overcome all that?
No, initially when you meet someone as sort of, a legend. This kind of legend, this myth. There is a part of you that's, deeply sort of stupefied,
Slightly intimidated.
Yeah, but at the same time, he made me feel so comfortable, and sort of wouldn't let you go. He wouldn't let you go in that direction. So after a while, this Marlon Brando just became Marlon.
Yeah, a guy
and he became one of the funniest humans I've ever known.
It must be, and for you working with when you're directing, I guess you can't say it's your first day with Jack Nicholson in the Batman movie. You can't let that be Jack Nicholson to you. You can't be intimidated by him.
No, but it's great because making movies is quite surreal. So it's just another surreal moment. No, I've been lucky. I mean, the only one that almost ever beat me up was Jack Palance, and because I just gave a very simple direction: walk out of the bathroom. It was the first shot of that movie. Please just come out of the bathroom. Ooh, I've done over 100 movies. You've only done 2. And he almost beat me up right there on the spot.
But had you given him specific instructions
just
about
walk out of the
bathroom?
bathroom.
He didn't like that. He didn't want to do that.
No.
I think he came ready to try and exert his will on you. I think that was obviously the case there.
He's bigger than I was.
But he did the one-arm press-ups, didn't he?
Exactly.
So he could have kicked your ass very easily, couldn't he?
Easy, yeah.
But you used to be a bit wild. I don't know if ever you were physical like that, but you used to be a bit wild, and that's kind of gone now. You've sorted all that out, or you just hide it a bit deeper.
Yeah, I had it a bit deeper than that.
But do you ever cut loose? Or what kind of a drunk are you, Johnny?
What kind of a drunk?
Yeah.
Well, constant.
Are you a friendly kind of guy, drunk, or do you get a little bit confused, or you sleep? What do you do?
No, it doesn't confuse me. No, it makes me happy.
And you're not really that big a drinker, are you?
When I'm with him, I am.
Yeah. You have to keep up. OK, let me ask you about your next project, because you're working together again soon. I don't know if it's your very next movie. Is it the next project you're doing is together, or you have other stuff in between?
No, there's a couple other things I have, and then Tim and I are working on developing this other thing that we.
And is it going to be The House of Dark Shadows? Is that right?
Yeah, Dark Shadows.
Okay.
Yeah, which is.
Well, now that wasn't that well known over here.
No.
I don't think, but it was a really weird kind of cult thing in America.
Yeah, it was on TV in the afternoon. It was like a supernatural soap opera that the kid we'd all race home to see. It was on black and white, like in the afternoon, and it was just the weirdest vibe of any show I've ever seen.
Yeah, a gothic soap opera.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of like domestic and romantic entanglements, and then there was a vampire involved as well. Is that right?
Yeah, but some of the worst camera moves that you've ever seen in your whole life. I mean, and strangely, a lot of flies landing on actors' faces and then still just trying to act through it. It was amazing.
But are you going to try and do that? Are you going to try and make it look...
Yeah, we're going to fill the room with flies and then make the actors not pretend that they're there.
Do you ever, if you go to Johnny with an idea, has he ever said no to you for anything? Has there ever been a time when you've wanted him to do something? I mean, we know you've had him photo whacking now, and you made him, well, obviously he had to sing for Sweeney Todd, but have there been things that you haven't been comfortable doing, or are you kind of open to any challenge?
I always fear that he's going to come up with something that just makes me so uncomfortable, mostly like some kind of dance thing,
But you wouldn't accept a role if it was a kind of a straightforward leading man role, would you?
Well, it depends, I suppose. I mean, it depends on the character, I mean, if there's something underneath that might be interesting, or maybe there's a different way to attack it or something like that.
So if there was, well, I guess something for you to get your teeth in, but you wouldn't do what we consider a romantic comedy necessarily, or would you?
Oh no, I couldn't do that. Jesus. I really couldn't. I'd be a wreck.
'Cause I bet you get asked, don't you?
Well, I mean, I've been asked a couple of times, but it's just not my. I couldn't do it. There's no way.
But you could be made to look presentable enough even now. I mean, if we got rid of whatever the hell that is.
I know. We're teetering. We could be teetering on the brink here.
How long do you think this, so far very successful, and obviously kind of on a personal level, very satisfying relationship, will last? You want to carry on making movies for as long as you both can, or do you have a kind of a game plan?
Well, as long as he keeps not watching the movies we've made together, there's still a chance we'll work together, I think.
What about you, Johnny?
Yeah, I mean, I basically just I wait for the phone call, and if it comes, great.
Is he your favourite director to work with?
Oh, of course. I mean, it's like going home for me. It's
Getting all very emotional.
I've heard him say that
Where's
about
that
every
bit?
director he's worked with. He just says, yeah, it's like going home. That's what he says. Great to have you both here. The movie opens next Friday, ladies and gentlemen, Alice in Wonderland. I hope everyone gets the chance to see it on a big screen in 3D because it's...
That's the way it should be seen.
It's amazing.
Thank you.
It's it's almost as good as Avatar. It's great to have you both here. Ladies and gentlemen, will you join me in saying thank you to Mr. Tim Burton and Mr. Johnny Depp? Thank you so much. Thanks for doing it. Thank you. Good to see you.